Read the business headlines lately, and you would think the artificial intelligence boom has hit a brick wall. The dominant narrative is that major corporations are panicking, pulling the plug on their AI initiatives, and abruptly walking away from the technology entirely. In May 2026, Microsoft quietly canceled internal licenses for a highly popular AI coding tool called Claude Code. Thousands of engineers across their core Windows and Office divisions suddenly lost access to an application they were using every single day. Around the same time, Klarna CEO Sebastian Siemiatkowski went to the press. After previously boasting that their AI assistant was doing the work of 700 customer service reps, he admitted the company was actually hiring human agents again to handle the workload. These exits aren't happening because the technology failed. The algorithms are writing code and parsing text exactly as promised. Instead, we're seeing a massive management crackdown on spiraling, unmanaged financial waste. For decades, enterprise software meant predictable, fixed-cost subscriptions. You paid a flat fee per employee, and that was your budget for the year. But AI operates on usage-based pricing. Every prompt, every line of code generated, and every automated edit costs a fraction of a cent via an API call. When you multiply those microtransactions by tens of thousands of employees using the tools heavily, it triggers an unexpected, massive corporate budget shock. In economics, there is a concept called Goodhart's Law. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being a good measure. Tell people they will be judged by a specific number, and they will find a way to artificially inflate that number. Amazon management wanted to ensure they were getting a return on their massive infrastructure investments. They set a strict corporate target. More than 80% of developers had to use AI tools every single week. To enforce it, they tracked exactly how many tokens each employee consumed on highly visible internal leaderboards. The result was a behavior employees dubbed token maxing. Engineers at both Amazon and Meta began intentionally feeding trivial, pointless tasks into their internal AI agents. They weren't trying to work faster, they were just trying to run up their token count to appease management and climb the company leaderboard. At Uber, the internal culture pushed AI adoption so effectively that over 90% of engineers were using the tools monthly. Power users were racking up individual bills of up to $2,000 every 30 days. The usage was so intense that Uber's engineering department burned through its entire AI coding budget for the year 2026 by April. This chart illustrates a strange economic paradox. Data from the Stanford AI Index shows that the base cost of querying a standard AI model dropped from $20 to just 7 cents per million tokens over 18 months. Unit costs fell by a factor of 280. Yet as the price line goes down, you can see total corporate API spending shooting in the exact opposite direction. The price of individual tokens crashed, but the volume of tokens consumed exploded. Developers started utilizing complex agentic workflows that require multiple rapid-fire queries to complete a single coding task. When you combine those heavy automated workloads with a corporate culture that practically forces adoption, a cheap tool quickly turns into an accounting nightmare. Management teams are looking at these massive API bills and asking the obvious question: is this spending actually producing faster, better code in the real world? This dashboard highlights a serious discrepancy. While AI vendors claim huge velocity gains, a massive analysis of over 200 million changed lines of code by GitClear revealed something else entirely. Developers using AI tools generated 8 times more duplicated code and caused a severe spike in code churn, meaning code that has to be revised or fixed within 2 weeks of being written. A gold standard study by Metra tracked experienced developers working on mature code bases. Before the test, the developers predicted the AI would make them 24% faster. In reality, they were actually 19% slower when using the tools, because they spent so much time reviewing and fixing the generated output. The productivity benefits are highly dependent on the specific task and the developer's experience level. Because the gains are situational rather than guaranteed, executives realize they can no longer hand out blank checks. They have to transition to strict financial governance. Coding with AI requires discipline. It is a management challenge that demands a complete financial overhaul to ensure the time saved is actually worth the money spent. To regain control, the enterprise world is abandoning the idea of using one massive, expensive frontier model for every single task. Instead, they are building a highly disciplined, multi-model economy. The technical fix is something called model routing. Companies are deploying new infrastructure that acts like a traffic cop. When an employee types a prompt, the router automatically analyzes the complexity of the request before sending it out to be processed. Look at this workflow. If a task requires deep logic and complex multi-step reasoning, the router sends it to a premium flagship model, which might cost roughly $80 for a massive batch of queries. But if the prompt is just basic text summarization or simple data extraction, the router instantly directs it to a smaller open-weight competitor, dropping the cost to around $15. Open-weight and international challenger models have now reached parity with the top labs on standard benchmarks. For routine enterprise workloads, they produce exactly the same quality of output at a fraction of the price. The penalty for using cheaper models has effectively vanished. By matching the exact cognitive weight of a task to the absolute cheapest capable model on the market, enterprises finally have a mechanism to survive the crushing demand for AI usage. This strict cost discipline is restructuring the entire industry. Leverage is moving away from a few giant AI labs and landing directly in the hands of the corporate buyers. The market is actively rewarding the providers who optimize for this efficiency-first reality. Recent data shows Anthropic has completely overtaken OpenAI in enterprise market share, capturing around 40% of the spend by offering aggressive pricing tiers and highly efficient routing options. The infrastructure built to direct this traffic is exploding in value. Companies like OpenRouter, founded by Alex Atala, are processing tens of trillions of tokens a week, driving their valuation well past $1 billion, simply by helping developers find the cheapest path for their data. Despite all the canceled licenses and internal spending caps, total enterprise AI spending is actually surging. Venture capital research projects corporate generative AI spend will hit $37 billion next year. Companies are buying in massive volume. The surge in spending proves companies haven't lost faith in the technology. They've just lost their appetite for uncontrolled budgets. The technical hurdles have been cleared. Now the survival of the industry depends on the balance sheet.